Welcome back, everybody. Mr. Balker here, going over another lesson of Amplify. Today, specifically, we're doing Unit 8A, Subunit 2, Lesson 6, the just right verb. Listen, I love this lesson. This is a cool one because the just right verb is kind of fun. The idea here is that we can use an exact verb for something. English is a cool language, and here's the reason. It's difficult, right? Those of you that are doing vocabulary and learn a lot of new words, you guys are realizing that we have a word for everything. I threw the ball. I chucked the ball. I hurled the ball. All of those mean the same thing, right? But they all express different things. I tossed the ball. I lobbed the ball. Those are softer, right? That's the whole point of this lesson, is that we're talking about the differences in the verbs that we can use, the verbs that we do use, right? If somebody is climbing a ladder, that kind of gives you this image in your head of this slow, methodical, sedentary, like, okay, he's going up the ladder, but he's not rushing up the ladder. He's not scrambling up the ladder. See, those things there invite the person who's hearing it to think that there's more expediency, that there's more urgency. They're not just saying that the guy is going up the ladder. Sure, he is going up the ladder, but he's going up the ladder in a specific way. And that's what this chapter is about. This whole lesson deals with the idea that we can use the exact word to talk about how we feel. Okay? If I say, I told Johnny to sit down, I gave him an instruction. I begged Johnny to sit down, right? Maybe at that point, I'm a little tired of dealing with Johnny, and I'm at my wit's end, and I'm like, dude, come on, right? I asked Johnny to sit down. It's a very matter of fact. Do you guys see the difference here? The point is, we need to use the right verb to express both our emotion and what's going on, what's our mindset in that thing. So, lesson 6, the just right verb, that's where we're at, and we're going to talk about those different ideas. Specifically, we want to discuss verbs that we can use. So we've got this picture from the lesson the other day, and we've looked over this thing a few times, and I'm going to show you some small cut scenes from it, okay? So here's the whole image right here. We've got all these various things that are going on. When I click on number 2 here, we've got these guys holding the rope. They're tugging it. They're stretching it. They're pulling it. They're fighting over it. Those are all verbs that you could use to describe this. You could also say they hold it. Pretty weak verb, right? Look at this one here. This person is scrambling up the wall. This person is clambering up the wall. This person is struggling up the wall. See how those all give you different ideas, especially struggling. Struggling indicates that, like, look at his hands outreached. Somebody help me. Right? That's why these verbs are so handy. Look at this one here. I don't get this one. I have no idea what's going on here. If that guy is talking to that guy, they're not pointed at each other. So what is it? Maybe one of them can't see. I don't know. But let's talk about the verbs that we use in it. His mouth is open and it looks like he's yelling or screaming or, I don't know, shouting. All of those things mean slightly different things, right? He shouted to his friend. He shouted at his friend. He yelled for help. See, these different words will give you a different idea of his mindset, and that's what we're trying to do. Here's the whole thing. What they want you guys to do in your little section here is to pick a section that's small enough that you could cover it with your thumb. And then I want you to think of 5 different verbs to describe that section. Now, usually we do this in class in groups, but I don't have groups, so you get to do this one on your own. Pick a spot. Make sure that it's something that you could cover with your thumb. That's going to be a couple of people, basically. Bells still work. And so what you want to do is come up with 5 verbs that really describe the motion, the emotion, the action of that scene. Okay? Take those 5 verbs and just make sure that they're a little bit different. If you've got 2 people wrestling, or fighting, or tumbling, or arguing, there's 4 right there. That's what I want you to do. You've got all the resources in the world. You can use a thesaurus if you want to, but I really want you to think of things that you would actually say, right? The purpose of doing this is to open up your mind a little bit so that you can do it in regular speech, and especially you can do it in your writing, because the writing assignment here is you're going to have to open up your writing and use these creative verbs. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide. We're going to introduce the difference between strong verbs and weak verbs. Okay, so we're going to look at the differences here with strong verbs and weak verbs. Here's an example that they give us. The student put his backpack onto his shoulder and closed the door. The second option is the student yanked his backpack onto his shoulder and slammed the door. See the difference? The first one, some kid just leaving class. All right, got my backpack, I'm out. The second one, I probably threw him out. That's it, tired of you, hit the bricks, puts his backpack on all mad, slams the door on the way out. Right? You can feel his emotion. You can see how mad he is, right? Okay, so that's the first example. Here's the second one we've got. As Ben held the pencil as he waited for the math test. What's Ben's mindset there? He's holding his pencil and he's waiting. Second one, Ben gripped the pencil as he waited for the math test. See a difference? Maybe he's a little bit more nervous now. And the third one, Ben tapped the pencil as he waited for the math test. Maybe in that one he's impatient. I don't know. That's what they want you to do here, is to figure out how he felt in these 3 situations. So do it. Okay, so let's get to the writing prompt now. The writing prompt this week is a fun one. It's asking you about a time that you took a risk. I think this is a fantastic writing prompt because that's a place that you're going to use strong verbs. Let me tell you mine so that you can understand how to do this. When I was a kid, I had a red Jeep Cherokee. Ironically enough, still have it. I don't throw things away. But I used to take this thing off-roading all the time, right? I lived in California at the time. I was in high school. My brother was with me. And so what we did is we took this red Jeep and we went out in the back roads, and there's this area, I'll never forget this area, top of Pecos Canyon. We go up this area and there's a dirt road off to the left. Now it had rained a little bit and we weren't sure whether we could make it up this thing because it's kind of a steep hill and it was muddy. So my brother and I are sitting in the Jeep and I'm driving, he's right there. And we see this rutted out thing, right? So it's clear that lots of cars have gone up this road, right? And I'm a junior in high school. And so we kind of drive up it casually a little bit. We get about a third of the way up and the wheels slip and the Jeep comes all the way back down, right? And my brother's maybe a bad influence sometimes. He certainly pushes me to do things that I wouldn't do. So I get all the way down to the very bottom of the hill. And I put the car into first gear, jam it into first gear. And I let off the clutch and I stomp on the accelerator and I'm giving all the power that I can to this Jeep. And we are flying up this hill. And we get near the top and the wheels are spinning wildly. And there's mud flying everywhere. And right before we come to the crest of the hill, I have this moment of pause and concern as I think, I don't know what's on the other side of this hill. And I quickly release the accelerator and I don't hit the brakes because I don't want the car to swerve one way or the other. I just let off the accelerator. And right at the very top of it, the front wheels plunge off the ledge and it's a drop. It goes to nowhere. And the front wheels hang over the edge of the cliff. And the Jeep itself is resting on the frame rails on that cliff, but the back wheels are still on solid dirt. And the Jeep slides just barely to a stop, and it's silent in the car. My brother and I are breathless. We're dead silent. Nobody has anything to say. Turn the car off, take the key out, set it on the dash. I open the door, I peer out the edge, and I see that there's a place for me to stand. And so I get out, and I look underneath the Jeep, and I see that we're resting on this rock face, but the back wheels are still there, and the front wheels are just kind of lazily spinning still a little bit. And I realized this could have been my ultimate demise. And my brother looks, and then he laughs. He says, God, that was close. That's it. That was close. We could have been killed. And so, what else do? You laugh. Try not to wet your pants. We get back into the car. We slam the doors, kind of excitedly at this point. I put the car into reverse, start it back up. I pull the front wheels back up onto the cliff at the back, and we carefully maneuver the Jeep back down the hill, and we drive home, and that is a heck of a fun story at a time that I took a risk. How many strong verbs did you catch, guys? I hope you caught a lot. I've told that story 100 times in my life. And that's the first time I've ever really tried to make it with strong verbs. I usually will just simply talk about what's going. And I'll tell you, my experience, that's a better version of that story. Using strong verbs makes that story more inviting. It makes it more approachable. Anyway, that's what I want you to do right here. Your assignment is 120 words. Obviously, my story was way longer than that. Go longer, I don't care. Just don't go shorter. That's the end of it. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you guys for the next one. Thank you so much.